What is up, my friends? I wanted to shoot this video for you, and here's what we're going to talk about today. We are going to talk about what to do and how to get yourself out of a sticky situation. Let's say in life right now, you're in a bad spot, right? Things are stacked up against you. Things aren't going good. Oh, maybe you owe people money. Maybe you got a bunch of bills due. Maybe finances are doing bad. Maybe it's that. And then you got the kids, then you got the wife, then you got the job, then you got the house, and right? You got the haven't been to the gym in 12 months. Maybe things in life aren't going so well for you right now. What do? We're going to talk about it in it's going to be a very different way of talking about this, and I'm going to do it through a very specific lens. Before I talk about that though, let's talk about me and where I'm at right now. So I've been fasting for 7 days at the time of shooting this. Tomorrow's my last day, 8th day, and then I get to start eating again. All this was based around a ceremony and a birthday of mine, a Hindu ceremony and a birthday of mine, a very special day, which lines up with astrology, lines up with numerology and mathematics, and a bunch of other wild and bizarre things. So I went all in on this ceremony. It's been a very different kind of fast than anything I've ever done before, actually. It's been very, very challenging. And so right now as I shoot this, and I feel like this, I'm on just fruit, so hormonally I feel like shit, like my insulin and everything like that, it's all over the place, right? Which has got my brain feeling not so good. As I'm going through this, I got things to do. I got charts to read. I got acidic stuff to deal with. You know, we got deadlines. We got these different things going on. We got launches going on. I'm coordinating people in the background. There's like a huge effort that's going on with my business and everything in my life. I've got a personal life. I got fitness. Then I'm doing this fruit diet thing. I'm going and praying a bunch or meditating, whatever you want to call it. And it's like, it's a lot. What's that saying in Catholic or Christian? It's in the Bible, essentially, and it is what? God never gives us more than what we can handle. You've heard that. I'm sure you have, right? And so I'm going to actually have this whole conversation with you framed through that lens. Let's give it a shot. I was actually just doing this with somebody one-on-one, and it just kind of struck me as profound, so I thought, okay, let me flick on the camera and try and do it again. So let's give it a shot. If we take that statement at face value as truth, which a lot of people do. Like, there's a ton of people that lead their life by it. But I think they're missing how deeply they can give themselves permission to actually live by that. Here's what I mean. God will never give us more than we can handle. So that means everything we're going through right now, we can handle. We're equipped to handle. We have the tools to handle. We have, or are getting the knowledge and understanding to handle. And after we get through this situation that we're going through right now, then the next one down the line, we have the history of this one, and we have the experience of this one, and we have all the tools and the knowledge and understanding and compounded effort of this one back here is now with us in our tool bin for any future one that we face. This goes much deeper than I think people understand and give it credit for. Let's see here. The flow is starting to break up because my brain. Honestly, this has happened a lot during the fast. I just blank. But let's go. Let's try it. You have the compounding of that experience. Now, doesn't that also mean that, okay, God never gives us more than we can handle? Doesn't that mean that, like, right now I have actually everything that I need to get through what I'm facing, what I'm in right now? Like, I'm in the action sequence right now. I'm in the middle of it. Sure, the same for you. Now, a lot of times what people start feeling is, well, they feel a lot of things. The emotional scale is like much wider. They're going from everything from desperation to anger to fear, and it's all caused from fight or flight, anxiety, all these different things. So all day long they're just up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down, which is exhausting. You already have the things that you would need to get through it, is what that saying, that quote, that truth is also saying, isn't it? Or there's a way to, like, somehow tune in my antenna to God or Jesus or whoever you believe in, whatever you believe in, it's okay. But there's some sort of way to, like, download what I need on the fly to get through this. All of those are presuppositions to that statement, aren't they? How do I tune in to get those things? Like right now, how do I tune in to, like, get what I'm supposed to be getting? Understand that it's really hard for you to operate through these pressured zones and these stressful times if you let it register as stress. If you let the feelings register as panic, as anxiety, as fear, It releases a whole different chemical cocktail in the brain, and what it does to the physical body is the exact opposite of what you would actually need. Furthermore, I guess I'll insert a Albert Einstein quote here: you can never solve the problem from the state that it was created in. So you kind of need to elevate yourself to a different state, but how the are we going to do that? For some of you, you're in a position that, you know, who knows, maybe you're going to take your house away next month. Maybe you lost all your money on Bitcoin or crypto and you got nothing left, and it's like really, really acidic. How do we, like, the acidic levels to my neck, how do we release it? Easiest thing and simplest thing is you can just breathe, right? Jay, it's so stupid. Yeah, I know, I'm breathing every minute. You can breathe from your stomach. Try and pull in breath from your belly button. This is something that yoga teaches you, meditation teaches you. If you've never experienced this, and this might be completely brand new to you, take a second, Google search it, but try and pull in your breath from your belly button, essentially, from your stomach, which makes no sense if this is the first time you're hearing it. I understand. It's real. There's truth to it. And when you pull in breath and you protrude your breath out on a breath in and then in on the way out, then what you'll start to notice is like that, you know, and you can kind of over exaggerate it to get the rhythm down. But what you start to notice is that when you breathe through this, you start to get a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more coherent and a little bit more in control. So the first thing we can always do is just breathe. At the minute when you feel like you can't take it anymore, you just can't, you're gonna explode, let it out and just breathe. So that's the first thing that we can do. Second thing we can do is you got to understand that, and I'm going to cover probably some complex topics that obviously we could spend hours and hours and hours talking about. But the next thing you need to do is that you need to recognize, if you haven't already, that you're a co-creator in this experience. You're not a victim getting taken down the river and oh, pull me here and now pull me there and oh, poor little old me. No, your thoughts, the inner, has created the outer, and it has dictated over the outer in some sort of way. So my thoughts last week, last month, last year are dictating this week, next year. Understand that. That's a really amazing concept to actually understand and live with the understanding and awareness of. Like the conscious awareness of. It's an amazing thing to live by. Because then you start to realize that there is a reaction to everything. So all these negative thoughts and all this complaining and all this, life is so bad and God doesn't love me and everyone's out to get me. There's a reaction, there's a chain reaction to that. And usually it gets worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, which makes it easier and more inviting to think negatively. And just rehearse and replay through all these bad experiences and traumas of your life. None of that leads to the outcome you actually want. None of that leads to where you want to go, does it? So how do we start changing that? Well, we need to kind of hack through our brain a little bit, and we need to change the brainwave pattern. So if that's like, if you've got a music or soundtrack that you absolutely love, like a go-to playlist soundtrack. Who says soundtrack? A go-to playlist that you absolutely love. Maybe it's EDM. I'd say stay away from like hip hop or heavy metal, things like that, because usually those have a lot of programming in them. That programming might not be the best thing for you in that low state, because your awareness is so low that you might not see what's happening, and it might be pulling you further down a bad direction. So what I'd say is try and stick to like some happy summertime vibes, house music type thing. Maybe it's a meditation track or just Om meditation, you know, maybe monks chanting, maybe Tibetan bowls, something like that. That sort of thing. Those are all fairly safe to use. And you can find some amazing tracks on, you know, YouTube, SoundCloud, Spotify, and use those to elevate. So you just lay in bed and daydream. And once you'll notice, once you start to kind of shift your mood and you start to get a little happy, you start to kind of get the endorphin kick, that's when you start to actually walk through this potential future you want and visualize it as deeply as you can, and add color and add sound and add people, interactions, and you just play around in that. Just like you would play a video game, just like you would watch a movie, you play around with that as vividly and as deeply as you possibly can. That's how we start to paint the future. And the future can be as soon as the second from now, and now the next second, and now the next second. We paint that clear picture. Now we know what we want to do, and we know our way through this. We know how to get through this. But now, okay, we're still in it. We've thought about the future. What do I do next? How do I navigate through this thing? Well, that's where there's got to be some sort of like guidance or download that hits you, right? Because we've got the basic tools already. Like I said, we've got the basic tools on us. But to get the like play-by-play, Where does that come from? How do we see that? How do we recognize it? That is as the magic starts to show up, and you'll start to see, like, especially the bigger significant ones, you'll be like, wow, that's like a turning point. That's like a big deal. That I was not expecting that. That's, maybe a bunch of leads start calling you to close new deals, or a new job opportunity comes your way. Like, that's the start of it. Now, what we want to look for and start to hone our ability is that gut feeling. That gut feeling is like our compass through the water. That's really our way to wade through this. Now, understand that compass is going to be so skewed in lower emotional levels. Anger, it's awful. It's not even true or accurate. It's probably most of the time flipped inversely. Despair, depression, all of those lower level emotions are gonna skew the data. We have to be in that pure state. So you gotta be able to access that state through the music, through a meditation track, through whatever, going to your church, whatever it is. Get to the state. Then we tune in with the compass and we purify the compass to make sure that it is still north is north, or the North Star is still true, right? And then you start to notice that you get better at this gut feeling thing. First of all, I'm sure we could all agree that there's very few times that we can even think of that the gut feeling's been like wrong or off, but it is a muscle just like anything else. It's like memory. It's like being able to be spontaneous. It has to be kind of trained a little bit, and you got to remember the truth to that feeling because it's trying to tell you something. So it's up to you to understand the depth of it. I'm just giving you the what, okay? The how and all that is going to be up to you. The gut feeling is the compass. So as the magic starts happening or the opportunities start coming, some of them will be like so obvious, you're like, wow, yes, that's obvious, but others will be like, that's nothing. And since humans are so amazing at devaluing things, devaluing significance, writing it off as coincidence, ignoring synchronicity, no, it's just whatever, it's just a fluke, I'm sure things will go bad again soon, or whatever. Because we're so good at that, there will be a ton of small things that happen that we miss. That's where continuing to like go to the higher state, feeling amazing, checking in, yep, okay, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true, that's true. And then obviously most of your day is not going to be in that state, but the purity of the gut feeling will be a lot more true. And then you just have to be aware. So now we just increase our awareness. Oh yeah, like you remind yourself of like, I will be looking for at a much deeper level things showing themselves and presenting themselves to me that represent change in a new direction. This direction that I want. And this direction that I want to go is based on this goal that I've set and this vision that I've painted, right? Does all that make sense? I think it's incredibly simple. I think a lot of life's mysteries that are wrapped in complexity can be explained simply. And being deep into in a bad situation right now, I think you can get out of it pretty simply. That doesn't mean easy, okay? It might not be easy. There might be a ton of suffering that you got that's on the way between here and this future outcome, but that doesn't actually matter. What matters is being clear about what you want and going and getting that, and how do we go and get that? And that's a way that I think you can do it. And it's really hard to see that when you're in the middle of it. It's extremely hard to see that because what do we want? We want to pull from our highlight reel of bad experiences. But we can pull from our highlight reel of great experiences just the same. If we're going to take that saying as truth that I talked about in the beginning, God will only give us what we can handle right now. Then that means that's a way to get through it. That's how we actually make that work. That's how we fully solidify that whole saying and quote right there. And now as we get through this thing, you will have bigger challenges down the road, but can't you pull back and come back to this and the deep structure of what you did and the processes that you used? Can't you keep building on those? Yes, and you should. And when you think that this one's so bad and it can't possibly get worse, I've never dealt with something this heavy, and oh my God, this is too much, can't you go back through the history of you in the highlight reel and find some things that were a bigger deal than this? Or maybe they weren't, and because you did something a certain way, it made it easier. Can't you take that process and that deep structure and now apply it to this thing? Again, it's incredibly simple for us to go back and pull pieces from our own life and probably other people's lives as well and look at the actual deep structure, the how we got to that result. So like, what made this situation easy? It's similar to what I'm facing now, but what made it so easy and this one so hard? Okay, let's explore and look through it and re-walk through that scenario and that situation. And again, what you'll start to find is you'll start to find the pattern. Pattern recognition is not hard, but it does require awareness. And it requires you to look at things that a lot of people oftentimes want to avoid, which is the truth of what you're going through, the truth of right now. So anyway, I hope that helps for those of you that are going through some shit and you don't really know what to do, try that. That's something that I think will help. Okay, that's all I got for you. Thank you so much for tuning in. Like the video, helps us, helps this get shown to more people and YouTube. If this is your first time to the channel, then click the subscribe button, hit the bell notification. That way you'll see more of this, hopefully goodness. You believe it to be goodness. Comment down below with your experience with what I just outlined, and I'd love to hear from you in some sort of way in the comment section below. That would be amazing. Thank you so much. See you guys.